Hi, my name is Todd Trapani, and I pastor at Faith Church in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. And I want to spend the next couple of minutes talking through some tips and strategies to effectively launch a marketing framework. Before we begin, we want to make sure that our goal, our marketing goal, is clear. This is the measure or metric we're going to use to decide whether or not our efforts are successful or not. The one thing that we need to focus on is this: are people attending? That's the number one goal. That, in fact, is our goal in all of our marketing efforts. We can become sidetracked by starting to watch clicks, likes, shares, that kind of thing. But the problem with that is that can often lead us down a rabbit trail into following something that isn't working. It can look like we're being very successful, but yet people aren't showing up for our events. We need to track, are people showing up? Tracking clicks and likes sometimes may be like me putting $1 million into your bank account, but telling you can't use it or spend it. It's kind of nice to talk about, but it doesn't do you any good. The same thing with these online metrics. We want to make sure that people are showing up to our event, and let's keep that first and center in our focus. So the first thing we want to focus on is this. You want to start with your website. Oftentimes we feel that we want to begin by social media, by using social media, because social media is it's popular. There's a lot of buzz surrounding it. But if you're looking for new people to visit your church, a website is where you need to begin. Recent surveys have shown that 97% of people who are looking for a church use a web search to find the church in their area. Now, you know this to be true. If you're in a new city and looking for a restaurant, you don't turn to Facebook or Instagram to try to find a restaurant. No, it's Google, Alexa, Siri, and you use an online search. The same is true for those hoping to find a church. That's why it's so important that you begin by having a church website. Now, your website should be like a traffic sign that points people to your location. The good news about this is that, number one, you're focusing on new people, and so you want to make sure that your word choice and images lean toward that. But also, when you have this set, just like a road sign, it's not something that needs to be updated all the time. Once it's set, it's something you can leave in place and allow people to see where you're at and allow them to point to where your church is. The second point is don't lock yourself into a .com or .org domain name. You can say, well, everybody uses those. Well, that's the problem. All the good names are taken. So unless you want some type of cryptic domain name that sounds like I'm speaking in tongues.com, don't lock yourself into that. The good news is that here a little while ago, the good people at the internet opened up many more domain names for us to choose from. We now have things like .church, .group, .community, .web, all kinds of options for us to choose. It allows you to use the church name and find a domain name that fits. Now, a couple of tips to keep in mind. If you're looking for a domain name and you still haven't found it, try adding a prefix to the name, such as a or the or r. Oftentimes that can open up options that aren't readily available to you the first time through. The second thing is this. Make sure you have a domain name that you say and not spell. People find it much easier to use and remember a domain name that they can speak instead of spelling. afaith.wi.ec. The list goes on, may mean something to you, but it's difficult to find. And so make sure that you're trying to find something that can easily be replicated. The last thing is this: make sure you don't use any type of weird or specialized spelling. Spelling faith, F-A, number 1, +H, may look cool and may be available, but it's probably available for a reason. Nobody can find it or use it. So make sure you use your traditional spelling when choosing a domain name. The third point is this: launch your website on a single page. Now that may seem extreme, but the important information can all be located in one place. Oftentimes we feel we have to build a site that's so big because we have to compete with other churches or other groups around us, but that's simply not the case. Keep it on one page, but make sure you have these 5 sections. The first section is something we talked about in another video, and that is an effective marketing message. That's what you want to start off with. You want to start with an emotional, compelling message that's going to connect with the heart and drive that interest and motivation to attend. That needs to be first. The second thing that you need to have on your page is information about your church. This is going to be address, where you're located, maybe links to a map, service times, anything that a person needs to attend. Make sure you don't forget the phone number, other elements, that everything should be right there. That's your second section. The third section is where you tell them a little bit about the experience that they're going to have. How long is service? What should I wear? Should I bring my kids? Answering those type of questions can help reduce the amount of fear or anxiety of someone who is trying to attend or wants to attend. And again, this third section is so important. The fourth part is where we circle back around and add a shorter version of that emotional, compelling message that we had at the beginning. What you're trying to do is to connect with the heart and again, drive that emotion toward action. And then finally, the fifth section is where you once again give the information on how to attend. Location, name, street address, telephone, all of the basics. You'd be surprised at how many sites or how many marketing materials actually forget those key elements, and someone who wants to attend doesn't know where it's located. So by adding them not once but twice, we follow up and we make sure that that's covered. This is it. This is really all that's needed. You're making an emotional connection. You're showing them the information needed. You're addressing some of the fears and concerns that they might have for attending, and then you're following up again with that emotional connection and that information that's needed to attend. A one-page website can be extremely effective. And again, what we're trying to do is motivate people to act. It's not about clicks, likes, or shares. Let's keep it simple and point new people to your location. The fourth thing is, after your site is set up, you're going to want to register one word with Google, and that word is church. Use the AdWord feature within Google, and what this does is that this allows anyone who is searching for the word church to see your information at the top of the list. Now, there's some money involved in this, but it's a worthwhile investment because of this. These people are looking for a church. Unlike social media advertising, which often uses interruptions to market, someone's interested in one thing and maybe we'll show something that links to it, an online search using Google AdWords directly places you in front of the person who is searching for that information. It's a good investment. Now, the one option that Google does allow that you need to take advantage of is proximity. Make sure that you're limiting your responses to only those who could actually attend your church. There's nothing wrong with drawing the circle and saying, we only want to show this to people within 5 or 10 miles of our location. You're really targeting the people that are close, as well as limiting the amount of expenses that you might have. This is the first type of marketing that you want to invest in when it comes to your advertising budget, and it does work. Number 5 is use social media like you would a church bulletin. We finally get to social media, and social media is an important part of your marketing, but its purpose isn't to reach new people. That's your website. Social media is best when it's used to reach and connect with people who are already connected with your church. So if you think of it like a church bulletin, it works wonderful. Things like what's happened, show pictures, show what events have been happening, and then the second part is what is happening. It's a great way to promote new events. But keep in mind, there's some pitfalls with using social media. A lot of sites require a login or an account that not everyone has and not everyone wants. Just because you're on social media does not mean that you're able to reach everyone within your congregation, and so you need to have some options. One option that isn't as hip maybe as social media is email. Email works just as good as social media in trying to connect with the people that are already connected with your church. So make sure that you have some flexible options to connect with them. Social media, important part. What happened? What's happening? It also is important to keep it updated. So unlike your website, which once it's done, it can sit for quite some time without you needing to update it because it's just pointing to your church, your social media site, you need to update it regularly, every week, just like you would your bulletin. So if you are just starting off in this, pick one platform and then dedicate yourself to updating that every week. It's much better to have one location that's updated often rather than having multiple locations that's not being updated at all. So start small and then grow out. But again, what's happened, what's happening, best way to communicate. Number 6 is invest in a color laser printer that supports cardstock. I know paper is on its way out, but paper is also a very important part of marketing. When people come through the doors of the church, we need to have brochures and handouts. We need to have things that they can fill out. And having a laser printer with the ability to use cardstock is invaluable. Since you're just starting out, having a laser printer allows you to print custom small runs instead of going to a printer where you would pay substantially more. You can do things, you can change things. Very, very valuable. Whether it's visitor cards, whether it's promotional materials, having that available is an incredible resource, and you need to have it part of your marketing framework. Number 7 is this. Marketing doesn't stop when somebody walks through the doors of your church. Make sure that your marketing extends into that second visit, that third visit, and on. All of these things that we've talked about so far is getting people in through the door. But you need to have a solution and a platform to reach them afterwards. One of the easiest ways, is just being able to communicate using text or email. And rather than starting from scratch, why not develop some pre-written templates that you can use every week for someone who comes the second time, or the third time, or the fourth time? This really speeds up the process and allows you to be able to connect with them in an easy and an efficient way. So someone comes through the door, glad you're here. You have an email already prepared that the next day you can simply copy and paste, maybe customize it a bit, and get it to them. Make sure that you're extending it past just that first visit. So to summarize, we want to make sure that we are focusing on that important metric. Are they attending? Everything that we're doing leads toward that. Are we asking in a compelling way? Are we presenting ourselves where people are searching? Are we doing our best effort to make sure that we are showing them where we are located and they're able to visit? Are we answering the questions? And then track that. One of the things we've done is we've asked, how did you find out about us? Because we want to know what's working. As you see what's working in your area, it allows you to invest more into that area, or if something's not working, be able to question it. But again, the number one thing that we're tracking is this: did they show up? Are we seeing people attend the events that we're trying to build? Thank you so much for this time. Hopefully this has spurred some ideas for you, and we know that God will bless your efforts moving forward.